Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to go over the calculate using a mortgage calculator worksheet. Um, so, as I'm sure you guys took a look at this, mortgages are basically used whenever you're trying to buy a house or any type of property. Um, because most of the time, when you're trying to buy a house, it's not like you're going to have a couple $100,000 sitting in cash in your bank account, right? And so what you do is you get a mortgage, which is basically like a loan for any type of property, whether it be a house or you might want to buy like a apartment complex or you're trying to buy another house to like rent it out to a tenant or something. Whatever the case may be, a mortgage is really just the simplest way of thinking about a mortgage is just a house loan. So we're going to take a look at a few different scenarios of people trying to look at some different houses and what kind of mortgages they'd be looking at. And we're going to be using this bankrate.com mortgage calculator. You have to use this in order to do the math. It just makes it really easy. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So our first person is Tremaine. He wants to buy a one-bedroom townhouse in a trendy new development downtown. The average cost of the houses there are about $145,000. He's pre-approved for a 4.38% interest on a 30-year fixed mortgage. And he saved 15,000 for a down payment. And we know that the more you save for a down payment, the cheaper or the less you'll have to pay in interest, right? So let's go ahead and jump right over to our mortgage calculator right here. Okay, so we know that we're gonna put in the information here on the left-hand side. So 145,000 was the price of the home. He was gonna put down 15,000 as a down payment, and it was a 30-year loan for 4.38. So 4.38. Okay, and so right here, it gives you what your estimated monthly payment would be. So in this case, it'd be $926 for the estimated monthly payment. How much total interest would Tremaine pay? All right, so there's two ways to do this. One is if you just put your mouse over the chart all the way at the end of it, it'll say about, let's see what we got. In terms of interest, we have $87,904. Why does that? Oh, oops, I forgot to just. Yep, that's why it didn't sound right. There we go. Sorry, I had 50 bucks there. You should have zeros there for now. I was wondering why that was wrong. So you should have about, if you go all the way over, you should have about a $103,000 and 974. You might have 77 if you looked at the amortization schedule. So if you scroll all the way down to the amortization schedule, the total as of 2050, so remember it's a 30-year loan, right? So 2020 plus 30 years. So you're going to pay it off in 2050. At the end of those 30 years, you're going to have to pay an extra $103,000 in interest. Okay, so you paid 15,000 on the down payment, 130,000 to cover the cost of the house, plus this much in interest. So this is what the total is looking like, right? When you add these numbers up. So the house, yeah, it's only worth 145,000, right? How much are you going to pay in reality? Over $230,000 for it. All right, and that's why that's how the banks make their money off of mortgages, right? They're not going to do it for free, obviously. So the answer to number two was about $103,000, $103,977. Okay. Now let's see what happens if Tremaine waited until he had more money in his down payment. So we know in general that the more money you have in your down payment, the less interest you're going to have to pay. So we're going to change this 15,000 to 30. Okay. So his new monthly payment is 851. All right. So his new what is his monthly payment? 851. How much total interest will he pay over the course of the mortgage? In this case, if we take a look over here, or my mouse is bugging out. All right. It's about $92,000, so 92,021, and you can scroll all the way to the bottom here, do the same exact thing. And right there, this is the number of interest, total interest paid. See how it's going down because you're paying less interest over time. Um, so it's $92,000, $92,024. Okay, so that's the answer to 3B is 92,024. How much money did he save by paying the extra 15,000 up front? So we're going to have to use a calculator for this, and all we're going to do is take what we had originally, which was 103. if I can get this to work, 103,977. We're going to subtract that by 92,024. Okay, and that gives me 11,953. Okay, so how much money did he save? $11,953. All right. So that's why it's important to get as much of a down payment as you can up front, right? Because when you do that, you're going to end up paying less in total interest. So the higher your down payment, the less you'll pay in interest over the entire loan term. Okay. Let's move on to our second scenario here. We have Carlin, who's looking at a 2-bedroom apartment with her husband and 3 kids. Or she's in a two-bedroom apartment. She wants to move into a 3-bedroom home. They have about 20,000 for a down payment. Homes in her small town are typically selling for 75,000, 95,000. She has a 3.89% interest rate, pre-approved, 30-year fixed mortgage. Remember, fixed is pretty good whenever you're looking for a mortgage when interest rates are really low, like they are right now. But she has a condition. She can only pay $400 for her monthly payment. Has to be less than 400. So let's take a look when we put in that information. All right, so she can afford to pay 20,000 in a down payment. Her pre-approved rate is 3.89. Okay, we need to get this number down to 400. All right, so I think they said the average was 75 to 95,000. Let's start at the bottom, 75,000. Okay, so you just got to keep messing around with the home price, and eventually you're going to get to about, I think it's, yep, 68,000. You could do 68,500 to get to exactly 400. They did say less than 400, so we're just going to go, I'm just going to leave it with 68,500, but you know, if you had 68,000 or 68,500, anywhere in that ballpark, you should be fine. Okay, so 68,500, that's the house that she can afford. Um, that's your answer number 4, 68,500. Number 5, how much total interest will she pay? Let's take a look at the amortization schedule, go all the way to the bottom again. And it says 33,907. So that is how much she would pay in interest over those 30 years, an extra $33,000. Okay. What month and year does Carlin pay off her house? Well, we know it's a 30-year loan, right? So she will pay it off as of 2050, and if you go to the top, it also says it for you, right? Mortgage payoff date is April 15th, exactly 30 years from now, right? So April 15th, 2050. So April 2050. That's your answer to number 6. Number 7. If Carlin could just add $50 to her monthly payment, how much money would she save on interest? So we're going to add an extra monthly payment here, and we're going to add $50. Okay. Now we can see that the chart changed, and let's take a look. Notice that the mortgage payoff date also changed, right? Instead of 2050, it's 2041 now. Okay. So how much money would she save in interest? Oops. All right. So we have 23,109. Okay. So we're going to do some math. All right. We're going to have to subtract. So we're going to, what are we going to do here? We're looking at 33,907, right, minus 23,108, and that's going to give us 10,799, all right, and that would be your answer for number 7. She would save about $10,000 in interest. Right, so there's 2 ways to really cut down on interest. You can put in a higher down payment, or you can add more to your monthly payment, both of which will help you save on interest over the long term. So what month and year does Carlin pay off her house if she makes she adds in the the $50 every month? And remember we said that it'd be October 2041. So she'd save about 9 years. So the answer number 8 is October 2041. Number 9, what are some strategies Carlin could use to make sure she has an extra $50 a month. You could have a bunch of different answers here. You could just say that automatically, like she saves $50 from her checking account to that goes goes directly to her mortgage, like auto pay kind of thing. She could maybe take on an extra job, maybe babysit or put in a few extra hours of work, and make sure that she has those $50. She could budget. There's a bunch of things that she could do. So, if Carlin can afford $450 a month, she could have just bought a more expensive house, right? Do you think she should pay off an expensive house in 30 years, or should she pay off a cheaper house in less time with less interest? Explain why you feel that way. I mean, this is obviously a very personal decision, right? How you want to manage your finances and what kind of house you want differs person to person. If I were to give a recommendation, I can't speak. If I were to give a recommendation to Carlin, I would probably say that she go with the cheaper house, depending on her financial situation. Um, if she was in a very strong financial situation and her family's making good money and she doesn't have any debt, then if she doesn't have any, like, maybe she doesn't have any car loans, that kind of stuff, then maybe, yeah, go ahead and you could buy him a little bit more of an expensive house. But you know for the most part, if you have to keep doing extra jobs or you have to be very careful with your money, then in that case just go with a cheaper one. But like I said, this is a person to person situation. All right, our last scenario. We have Bryce. Bryce is he's making good money. He's a high paying job, and he's determined he could afford up to $2,800 per month. He wants a sweet home to reward all of his hard work. His dream home costs $550,000. That's pretty expensive. You can buy a really nice house with that much money. He's been sloppy in the past with his bill pay, though. All right, his credit score is 650. It's not too great. Usually, a credit score above 700 is considered good. You always want to try to keep it above 700. So, Bryce's credit score is not too great. The best rate he can get is 4.69, which is pretty high for 30 years. He can put down $75,000 for his down payment. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in that information. I'm gonna change this back to 0. Okay, so he can put down 75,000 for his down payment. Oops, why did that happen? 75,000. All right, maybe I gotta change this one first. 550,000. Okay, 75,000. Okay, and then 4 point was it 69? Yep. Okay. All right. So his monthly payment would be a whopping $3,294. Okay, it's pretty expensive. So you do the math. 3,294 minus 2,800, which is what he can afford, and that'll be not 494. So $494 is he's short for his dream home. If he increases down payment, remember we said if you increase your down payment or if you increase your monthly payments, then it'll bring down your interest. So let's see what happens here with his monthly payment if we change this to 100,000. Okay, so it did go down. He's still $365 short though. All right, so could he pay it off? That should say 2,800. That's a typo. And the answer is no, that he could not, right? He still doesn't have enough money. Using this strategy, how much total interest would he pay over the course of the loan? Let's take a look. If we go to the end here, it's about 389,262. So over the total course of the loan, he's going to pay about $389,000. Let's double check right here. Yep, $389,000. Okay, so that's your answer to 12A, is 389290. Right, that number right there. And folks, if you feel like I'm ever going too fast with the numbers, remember you can always just pause the video um, just to make sure you're getting down the right numbers. I know I'm trying to go a little bit faster through this because I don't want these videos to be too long, but if you ever need to pause, then make sure you're doing that. Okay, so number 13, which is not actually a question, but it gives you a chart of different credit scores and the APRs that he could get. So let's pretend that Bryce got his credit score up from 650 to this range, 660 to 679 range. So his interest rate goes down to 4.261. So let's change that. Oops, not 1,000%. 4.261. Okay. We want to change his down payment back to 75,000. Okay. So he's still short. His monthly payment is still not enough. Remember his was 2,800. This is still over. So he could still not afford his dream house for 14A or 14, and then 14A using the strategy. How much total interest would he pay? So if we go over here, we're looking at. Let me just go at the bottom. Oops. We're looking at 367,603. So he's paying less in interest, right? But he still has a boatload of money in terms of how much he's going to pay in interest for that house. Okay, so how much total interest was that number right there? 367,603. And what do you think Bryce should do? I mean, answers are once again going to vary. If I were Bryce, I'd be like, that's a little too pricey, If you have a bad credit score, that's the important thing, right? You can make a lot of money, but if you're not responsible, then you're going to get hurt with these APRs and, these interest rates when you're going to buy a house or a car. So, it's not really how much money you make, it's how responsible you are with your money that really matters. Because even like your Bryce, he's making a lot of money, right? He can afford $2,800, but he's paying a higher interest rate than Carlin was. He's paying a higher interest rate than Tremaine was, right? And so you got to be careful with your credit score, because that's where, a lot of money he's going to end up paying. If he does go through with this house, he's going to pay $300,000 in interest. He could literally buy another house for that much money, right? Um, so you got to be very careful with the interest rates that you get in your credit scores. So, sorry, going back to the question, what do you think Bryce should do? I would probably tell Bryce, sorry, man, but I would try to look for a cheaper house. I know it's your dream home, but unless you can somehow save more money per month, or you can put down more money in your down payment, or fix your credit score, like you got to do something, because right now it's just not going to work. So as long as you said something along those lines, that would be fine. Alrighty, folks. I hope this gave you a better idea in terms of how mortgages work. So, like I said, nobody has the money to just outright buy a house most of the time. So you have to get a mortgage, and it's important to know how mortgages work, because you see a number like 4.38%, and you're like, oh, that's really small. And then you plug it into the calculator, and it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. So you really got to be careful with your mortgages when you're actually going out in the real world and looking at houses, for you and eventually your family. Alrighty, folks. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please email me, or you can ask in Google Classrooms. Thanks for watching. Bye.